Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show where we talk about movies, movie-related news, and that's pretty much it, honestly. Thanks for joining us if it's your first time here. I'm your host, the man lost in the woods of his own mind, Garrett Ray. And joining me is someone who I would consider a watcher himself, Andy Delia. At least of movies, not people.
Well, yeah, no, there's times that I've actually done a lot of people watching. Normally when I go to concerts and go, oh my God, you went out in public? Really?
That's what I've heard someone say that every time I've walked into Walmart in the last year, and I really don't. It just seems to be a coincidence.
There used to be a website.
Peopleofwalmart.com.
Yes.
I know it well. I loved it as a kid. Oh my gosh. But we're not talking about Walmart.
Right.
We might pivot back into that. You never know where this is going to go on this show. So essentially, if this is your first time here, basically what we do is we do a spoiler-free review of a movie.
Right.
Whatever it is that's new and fresh and hot and happening and, gets the SEO optimization we want. And then we just kind of tell you whether it may be worth your time or not. We'll give you our opinions on it. And then if you've seen the movie, you can stick around and we do a spoiler review. So we'll get all into the spoilers. We'll talk about all the details. And we'd love for you to join the conversation as well. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. It's Grand Review Pod. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on these movies too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
especially since somebody posted on our thing the other day on Facebook about Furiosa, and I said how much I liked it, and they just said, "Really?"
That's exactly the kind of riveting conversation we'd love to have.
just because we like or dislike something doesn't mean that you. But don't bash us for our opinion, because I'm not going to do that of you.
Well, I mean, you can bash me. I don't care. Whatever gets the engagement. That's all that matters.
I can do that non-violently. Thank you.
But yeah, so this week we're talking about a movie called The Watchers. Or if you're in certain parts of Europe, it's called The Watched, which is interesting.
Yes.
I think in Ireland where this is set,
in
it's
the
called
UK.
The Watched. Yeah. I don't know. There's probably some legal. There's already a movie called The Watchers that's got distributed, or maybe it's the actual title of the book that it's based on. I don't know.
No, the book that it's based on is called The Watchers.
Well,
because
then what the heck?
I'm about halfway through it at this point.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were reading it.
Yeah.
When did you start?
Like a week ago.
Okay, sweet.
It's not very long. It's like 250 pages.
I think I want to go read it too, because I saw someone posted like the differences between the movie and the book, and I was like, for once, I think I actually just want to read the book and find out for myself.
I'll give it to you when I'm done.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I would love that.
Not a problem.
This is why we became such fast friends.
And that or like true fascination for the love of movies.
Oh my gosh, I don't love anything more except God and my wife, in that order.
Yep.
And that's how it should be.
Yep.
Also gummy bears. So let's talk about this real quick. Just set the field for it. The Watchers is a movie about, if you haven't seen the trailer, it's a movie about a girl who finds herself lost in the woods and then gets pulled into some building by an old woman, and they every night someone called the Watchers comes and looks at these four people that are trapped in these woods through a window, and it's all about who are, what are, where are the Watchers?
Right.
And this is written and directed by Ishina Night Shyamalan, who I erroneously last night I thought it was his wife. It's actually his daughter.
Right. It's his daughter.
So big ding dong I am. I thought it was his wife.
Well, because initially this was supposed to be a project that M. Night Shyamalan was supposed to do, and the daughter had read the book and she really wanted to do it, and he backed off and just produced it and let her go with it. And
it's definitely it was adapted by her and directed by her. So this is her film. But I'm sure her dad was kind of giving her a lot of tips and stuff.
Yeah, I'm
throughout
sure
the
he
process.
was a helicopter dad over this, especially with being filmmakers.
He might have been. But she also had she had done some. I can't remember if it was second unit directing work or full directing on the series called Servant.
Yeah, his series.
Yeah, so she's this is not her first time directing, but it is her first feature film.
Feature film debut.
And
yes.
Based on a novel by A.M. Shine. The cinematography is by Eli Aronson, who I should have written down what else he's done. Most of the people that worked on this, the Eli Aronson did the cinematography. Job Terburg is a Dutch editor, and he's the one who edited it.
Wow.
And then Abel Korzeniowski did the music, and so there were a lot of kind of Norwegian and Dutch and all these European creators that worked on this. So it was shot in Ireland, and some other places as well. But
I wish they would have said like what part and what forest.
Yeah,
because it's super creepy. I mean, it sets the tone as soon as her car breaks down in that woods, like what that looks like and going through, or even the first scene in the film. You see all these really spiny looking trees, and it's very dark.
It's the perfect setting.
Right. It was just how they found that location was just fascinating being alone.
It's probably just some guy's backyard in Ireland, honestly. Just like, oh no, it all looks like that out here. We got the woods. They're spiny because we run by and we whack off the little branches that are at head height.
And then we make Guinness.
Oh, we love to put a bunch of meat inside of a sheep intestine sack and just eat that right there. Ireland's a lovely place.
But haggis is Scottish, not Irish.
Well, I guess that means I'm
so you're already in the wrong part of
yes. They actually get very angry about that, I've heard. So yeah, The Watchers, that's kind of the premise. A little bit about the creators behind it. It stars Dakota Fanning, Georgina Campbell, Oliver Finnegan, and Owen Fuere, I believe is how it's pronounced. And
you did better than I did. I couldn't.
I looked it up.
I wasn't even going to try.
I looked it up like 4 times. I was like,
okay,
how is it? Fuere. Yeah, she's an Irish actress. Anyway, we always start with what your opinions are. So spoiler free. Let's not get too deep into the woods.
And that's going to be tough.
I'm sorry, I winked at you. I also tilted the wrong side of my head when I did it, so it just looked like I had a twitch. Anyway, what did you think of The Watchers?
I really liked it. I had no idea what to expect going into this, just because I've seen the trailers, I've seen the little bit of the behind the scenes, and I wasn't sure what to think with it being M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, because the last couple of films that he did, I really didn't care for. Beside Old I did like. But Knock at the Cabin, no, I was not a fan of that. I just thought it was long, drawn out, and really was very uninteresting. Although that was the stuff I was reading this morning about this. Like I'm always curious at the other reviews that are online, and almost everything that I read it's very uninteresting and not very good.
I was gonna wait till spoilers to bring that up, but I read a bunch of reviews too this morning, and no, that's fine. I didn't tell you. I was trying to surprise you, like I do when I go G-Force, and so.
You beat me to this.
Well, the thing is, it can't be too early too. So if we're constantly just trying to be the first,
late.
It's just going to be like the start of the show. We can't. We got to work it in naturally,
Here's when I know that I really like a movie. Like when we were watching it, I didn't look at my watch once to see like what the time or how much time had passed.
Yeah.
For me, that's definitely a good measure of if I'm interested in this film or not, and if I stay awake or not too.
That's a great metric, I think. That's either a good metric for whether or not you're enjoying it or whether or not you've had your nap.
Yeah. Well, I had my nap yesterday, so that was good.
I slept a little too late today, so I'm fully awake.
Woo! But I thought the acting was good. I thought the tone and definitely the camera work on it was just amazing to me. And
shout out to Eli Aronson. Good job, dude.
And I really liked it. Maybe because I didn't have high expectations for it, or had no expectations for it really, because I just wasn't sure what it was going to be.
Yeah, I think I kind of went into it the same way. I had seen only one trailer. There's a second trailer that was released that I think spoils a lot. But I had only seen. I guess
I didn't see that one.
I had only seen the first one that had been playing here on the theaters, and it does not really spoil anything, which I appreciate about that trailer.
Maybe that's good that I programmed it that way.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm so happy I didn't see the other one, because I watched the other one last night, trying to just remind myself of some little some little moments and stuff, things. And going, oh yeah, that. That one spoils some things with the character, and
really.
Anyway, okay. I was definitely engaged the whole way through, which is, for me sometimes very difficult, because I'm thinking about I'm looking for all the little technical things, and oh, that's a mirror. How are they hiding it? What's the trick? Because so much mirror.
That whole camera work to me was just super interesting alone, because you had no idea where their part of the world end and where the reflection was, or if it was a parallel world, or what you were actually looking at.
Yeah.
And
it's very good at obscuring it, but like allowing you to be like, if I was standing there, this is how it would feel. It's not disorienting.
No, it's not. It's not. It adds to the tenseness of the film and just kind of, okay, where is this heading?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does a lot of that. I think, several times throughout the film I was going, okay, but where does it go from here? What happens next?
Right.
And I think that for this kind of movie, like that's exactly the thing you want people doing, is sitting there getting excited about, okay, what comes after this?
Right. And not going, here? Oh, well, this is what's going to happen next. Right, and then you see it.
Yeah. I was able to guess a little bit of some things.
Toward the end, I kind of got a little bit of too, but it wasn't to the point that I minded it.
Yeah.
And I was curious to see if I was right or not.
Yeah, and I think that was it. Like for me, it was fun to see if I was right about my guess about certain things. And I was mostly correct, but also slightly off, and we'll get to that.
Okay.
So yeah, it does have a sort of a twist sort of thing. So if you're not a fan of that M. Night Shyamalan-esque twist thing, maybe you'll be as frustrated with this as some people are. But overall, I thought it seemed well paced up until about the last fourth of the movie, maybe. But even then, it wasn't bad.
No, because it took some twists and turns that needed to finish the story, I thought.
Yeah, it absolutely was needed, because if it had ended earlier, it would have been disappointing.
Yes,
for sure. I think there was like a pacing hitch up at some point that I was like,
there was one point I was like, if this is how it ends, this movie sucks.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure it was the same moment I was. But yeah, overall, the performances are really solid. Someone online had said that Dakota Fanning was giving her most moon-eyed performance since War of the Worlds, which is a fun sentence to say, but I think is not being completely fair to Dakota Fanning in this.
I never saw War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise.
Did you really not?
No,
it's good.
I didn't.
It's good.
Solely because I've seen that story so many times that I just didn't want to see it again. Yeah. Especially with Tom Cruise.
I think it was my first interaction with War of the Worlds. So and it was 2005, I think it was. Yeah. So I was 10 when I saw it the first
even
time.
Spielberg did that, and I was like, nope.
Yep.
Not going to see it.
I got to tell you, it's got some fun visuals in it. Like, really does have some stuff that I still enjoy to this day. I've got it on DVD of all things, and I still, every now and then, I just pop it in and, let it play while I'm working on editing pictures or something. It's good.
Okay, then I might have to watch it.
I mean, does that mean it's a fantastic film and the best adaptation of that story of all time? Maybe not, but I think it's got some visual things that I really just are sufficiently off-putting without being too outlandish that you can't buy into the fear factor for the characters. So yeah, and it's good.
And it can't be any worse than The Day the Earth Stood Still with Keanu Reeves.
I'm trying to think of things that are worse than it, but Moldy Strawberries is all I'm thinking of, and that's still better than that movie. And I'm talking about once ingested. So yeah. I think overall, if I had to give some feedback that maybe is not just 100% praise, I thought there was, for the concept of the movie, I felt it was a little light on character moments sometimes. I think I would have liked a little bit more of just character story in this, because it's very much like a one location sort of thing. And normally you go really deep, 10 Cloverfield Lane, for instance, like you're really dealing with those interpersonal things. And it's not that this doesn't do it. I just think I wanted a little more, just overall.
Well, especially like Daniel's character.
We don't know anything about him.
We really don't know anything about him. Nothing was given any more additional information about him. And then his character goes in a certain way, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
The only person we really get any kind of sense of is, Dakota Fanning's character.
Nina. Yep.
And the old woman's character.
Yeah.
But to a point that doesn't give anything away.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much you can tell of that, and then it's you're gonna lose the entire story.
I think I wanted to connect with Mina more, and it was like there was a small barrier to that, just because of the pace that it was going at, it didn't really have time to like really allow her to deal with the things. There's like a specific moment where a very personal thing for her comes into play, but it also seems kind of hollow. And I'll get into that in spoilers a little bit more.
I think this is one of the better things I've seen her in.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Dakota Fanning in anything in a while.
She hasn't been in it. Like, I'm kind of equating this to like Gifted and Charlotte's Web and some of those other films when she was younger. And, you know, now she's fully an adult, and I kind of hope we see a little bit more of her. I
would like to see her do more stuff too.
Yeah.
I think she's she was talented as a child, and I think perhaps some of the things that made her a great child actor, because she's a pretty stoic person. Even as a child, she could be very she looked mature, I think in her eyes.
The best thing that she did that parallels this film, I think, was I Am Sam.
I love I Am Sam.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It's hard to watch if you have a stomach ache, but it's good.
Okay.
It's that shaky camera, kind of very, very movement. But I love I Am Sam. But I think the things that made her as a child seem very intense. Now, as an adult, some people have kind of read that from what the reviews that I've seen. They've kind of read that as her being flat. And I don't know if I necessarily
agree with that. I think that's a little
unfair.
Yeah.
So,
I remember the last thing she was in before this, Equalizer 3.
I haven't seen any of the Equalizer movies. Should I watch those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, there's anything for Denzel killing a lot of people. But
I do love Denzel killing a lot of people.
There is a story. The second one I didn't think was as good as the first one. The last installment, the third one, I thought was fantastic.
Okay, cool. All right.
Because there's some redemption things in that I really thought was cool.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have to, I'll loop back around. It's going on the list.
Okay. Which is what we should just rename this podcast. It's going on the list.
So I think it's maybe not the most suspenseful movie that's ever been made.
Well, it's not a horror film.
No,
if you have that conception going into this, it really isn't.
No, it's more of a kind of mystery thriller.
Suspense
film. Mm-hmm. I think it's a fun ride, and it definitely made me jump a lot of times. Any bloody or violent stuff is mostly obscured by darkness, so you're not really in danger of it being like a gore fest that you want to throw up at.
And that's not what it's going for either. And it didn't. No. I was really glad that it didn't go that route.
Me too. Yeah, because it very easily could have been just a crappy slasher film.
Yeah.
And they didn't go with that, and they tried to do something that was more of a personal story. Just in general, I'd say it's worth a watch.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't say exactly why I liked it until we get into spoilers.
There's the perfect segue.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, if you don't want to know spoilers about this, The Watchers is in theaters right now. You can always come see it. Well, not always, but while it's in theaters, you can come see it at Grand Avenue Theater right here in Belton, Texas. And we definitely would say that you should. Not just because Andy works here, but because I said so, and I have no financial backing going into that. So we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into spoilers then.
Okay.
So I want to... I love folk tales. I love lore. I love specifically the stories from Europe about changelings, and getting to see that represented on the screen, and getting to dig into that, like, oh, this is old magic in the Irish countryside. I loved that so much.
That in the sculptures and stuff they found in the woods when they were trying to escape.
Yeah.
And that giant like circle that was there and what it was representing. Yeah, that stuff was really cool. And then when she goes to the professor's office, the stuff that she finds even there, I really like the idea of guardian angels being upset that humans have kind of casted them aside, and now they want revenge.
Yeah.
I thought that that's something really I haven't seen before.
Yeah, and I think the deep lore, if you will, is that the fairies are born of the earth, and they were acting as guardian angels, kind of, and guiding humanity and stuff. And so I loved that idea that they became fearful or jealous or whatever and started a war.
And because of a man's arrogance and how they just turned their back on them, I think.
Right, yeah. And it's like, well, then by the end, the Watchers, you kind of get it.
Almost side with them. It's now we know why they're trying to assimilate into society and kind of take over.
And having met most of the people, the different types of people you'll run into in the world. I've been across the country and met a lot of different people. I get it.
Yeah.
New York, lost my faith in humanity.
See, me and my wife are going there for our anniversary too.
Well, have fun. Don't get stabbed. I was walking down the stairs into the subway once, carrying a 70-pound bag of camera equipment and stuff, just dying. And this guy gets up who clearly was not well, and he's cross-eyed, and he looks, I think, at me and goes, "You're looking at me? You're looking at me? I'll fucking kill you." And I was like, whoa. Sir, I'm just trying to get down to 8th Street.
I worked in New York City for 4 years at a theater. I was an assistant manager, and I was going to school.
Yeah.
And I adapted, I guess, the best camouflage ever. Head down, I headphones on, and just went about my business.
I never put my headphones in. I was afraid I wouldn't hear someone running up behind me going, "Give me your money, give me your money."
Never happened to me.
I got threatened at least twice in New York. I was there for 4 days.
How did I last 4 years then? And nobody ever attacked me. Nobody ever tried to take my money.
Well, to be fair.
And I even spent a night asleep in Grand Central Station.
Did you really?
Yes.
And you're alive?
Yeah. And because I had missed the last train out because I was living in a town called Croton Harmon on Hudson, which is an hour outside of the city. Mm-hmm. That's where my apartment was because it was cheaper than living in the city. So one night I went to party and was coming home and missed the last train home, and I slept with literally one eye open in the train station. And
maybe I got threatened because look, I've met me. I get it a little bit. I do.
Okay, enough said. I get it at this point, Garrett.
You're like, I'm going to threaten you as soon as we're not recording. I thought the idea of changelings was a really interesting idea to play with. And I think I would have liked to see more of that. I don't know necessarily how they would have done it, so that's not a criticism. I think I just love the idea so much that I'm like, oh, show me, what else could they do? What else what other tricks could they employ?
So the one scene I was initially mad at was when, excuse me, they remove that rug and they find the hatch.
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody, how long have they been in this place? And nobody would even think to look under that thing to find. But as it goes further into the film, when you find out what Madeline,
yes,
what Madeline's whole purpose is and how generally she treated these humans as pets.
Yeah.
Okay, then it kind of is like, okay, now I'm not so mad because she purposely hid that from them and didn't tell them anything.
Right. She hid it from them, and she probably, said the Watchers set this room up like this. Don't mess with it. And so
But initially that was kind of upsetting to me.
Yeah, I think the moment in which it happens. So, okay, basically they're all stuck in the coop, which is what they call the room that they're in. I'm trying to give context for people who haven't seen it but are still listening. Sometimes that happens.
And not the Tommy Wiseau room either.
Oh, how great would have that been if they opened the hatch? Oh, hi, Mark. Like, I would have laughed my pants off. No, wait, what? I apologize, but I won't edit it out. So yeah, I think that seeing how Mina ends up in the woods, she meets these 3 people every night. The Watchers come, and then eventually Daniel, who's a character we really don't know anything about except that he's Irish and creepy, is
in that order.
Yes. He decides at some point that he's had enough of Madeline's rules, ties her up, locks Madeline and Mina out. And so they're stuck outside, and the Watchers are coming, and if they find them, they'll kill them. And this is actually the moment that I wanted to talk about earlier when I was talking about the personal moment for Mina that I think felt a little flat for me. Because so when they are locked out, Mina is trying to talk to Daniel through the door, get him to open the door, and he's not wanting to. So she says something about how she gets being angry and
she's not a good person.
And I'm not a good person, but you are. And she tells the story about how she's responsible for how her mom died. And it's, I think it makes total sense from a screenplay, kind of. What am I saying? From a screenplay
almost,
point of view,
like she does have to do some kind of manipulation to get into this room, or else they're done for.
Right. Yeah.
So I understand the emotional connection that she's trying to almost falsify, but it's something real out of her life.
Yeah.
To get into the coop, but I didn't think it was that flat. I thought how she read off the dialogue was a little bit more robotic than I would have liked it. Have been.
Yeah.
If that's converted to be the same thing as flat, then maybe
it is sort of performance thing. She's trying to stay calm too, so I get that there's that element of like when you're acting, you're constantly, especially in emotional moments, you're trying to cover up the emotion. That's part of the performance. Is we try to bury those things so that we can function. So I kind of understand the acting choice there, but what I think. There's the performance side, and then the other side of it for me was that Mina never really had to confront her selfishness or the fact that she caused her mother's death. Not really. She had to learn to reconnect with her family by the end. But the thing that I found is that there was a lack of her having to overcome her specific issue in order to win. Which is a pretty that's like screenwriting 101. You learn that everything about the film needs to be putting obstacles that are uniquely and specifically designed to tear down your main character in their way. And so I think when I say it felt flat a little bit, I mean, she used it to get through the door, and that makes sense. Like, she's appealing to him.
Right.
And so I don't have a problem with it. I think I just wanted more of Mina having to learn to be selfless. And she doesn't really have to do that. Well, I don't know. Maybe at the end.
The end, she does.
But
when
only
she's
kinda?
when she's being confronted and she's going to be taken over by Madeline.
Oh yeah, Madeline's a changeling, by the way. Spoiler.
Right. We're in the spoiler section, so that's
no, fine. I know. I would just.
She does have to be a little bit more selfless, and in order to get out of the situation that she's in.
But is telling Madeline what the doctor didn't tell her selfless, or is it just a ploy to get out of it?
I think it could be looked at it from either perspective.
I don't know. And I say I don't know, not because I think you're wrong, but because I think I'm right.
No, you're just trying to tell me I'm wrong. Since you never tell me I'm wrong, this is your one shot at it.
Hey, you know what? We said the best episodes would be the ones where we scream at each other, and I'm ready. No, I think it was...
I really thought you didn't like this movie because the way you were jumping and stuff during the film.
Oh, I did hate that. I would like to speak to whoever mixed the sound. Whoever put the sound of the birds that freaking loud compared to the rest of the movie can go sit on a cactus with their bare bum out. That is the most mean-spirited, just evil thing I can think. Jump scare me, that's fine, but don't blow my eardrums out, you jerks. And it's like it literally, the problem is the rest of the movie, perfect volume level. Those, ear splitting. And that is because they set it to that level in the mix, regardless of where you set the volume in the theater or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The volume difference, the decibel difference in the mix is mean.
Well, because I even noticed that from I was sitting closer to the left-hand side of the theater, and I heard stuff more out of the speakers off of the wall there than I did out of the front speakers. And I know that wasn't like technical issues that we had.
Yeah.
That's just how...
That's how it's mixed.
I think they didn't do it in 7.1 either, which is what the auditoriums are set for. They did it at 5.1.
Oh, really?
So that can be really kind of disorienting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They didn't invest... Maybe Warner Brothers knew this was not going to do well.
Yeah, well...
So they didn't invest a whole lot of money into it, but they pushed this thing pretty hard.
They did, yeah. Well, and I mean, like, it looks like a real movie, and for the most part, it sounds like a real movie. It's just also sometimes it sounds like birds, and it's stupid. You're the only one who gets to see the physical actions that go with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Fortunate may not be the right words for that. Okay. So if the film had ended at the point where they got out of the forest and they got on that bus, because I had visions of that's where they were going to end it,
I did too.
I would have been pissed.
I would have been super pissed because it was like, well, that's it. Like,
right.
Not that they didn't have to overcome anything at the end, but it just kind of
just had to get out of the forest, and that was it.
Okay, you're on the boat. Great. When did you notice that Madeline was a changeling? When did you have that? Like,
so that's hard because there's little things. I think with her overprotectiveness in the coop.
Okay.
That's where I tend to really wonder because she would be protective there, but then when they went out during the daytime, it was like every man for himself and I don't care about you.
Right, yeah.
And that duality really was kind of perplexing to me that something is not right with that character.
Okay. My first clue was when they got back in through the door after being locked out by Daniel, and Madeline goes over and grabs Daniel and says, I should have killed you months ago. And I was like, that implies she has the power to decide who lives and dies, which is something only the Watchers have in this situation.
And that's something this film did amazingly well, is that you don't really see those things until the end of the film.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they keep that very dark, very hidden, and it's part of the tone of the film. And I really like the fact that you didn't know what you were supposed to be afraid of.
Yeah, yeah. And by the time that you do see one, because Madeline and Madeline and Mina are outside, and you see that one stand up, and you can't really tell how it's standing up, like it's obscured by darkness and stuff, but your brain fills it in and is like, oh no. Yeah. and then you get like the tiny glimpse of it where the Watcher is on top of the bramble they're hiding in, and the spit's dripping down, and you get just a little bit of a look at the teeth, and you're like, ooh.
Or even the footage they find from the professor in the bottom of the coop. You don't really see it it's more shadowy than anything else, and you can't really make it out.
And when he first turns the camera over to it, I didn't even notice it was there. I was like, what are we looking at? Oh, there's a door. Does he go into the burrows? Is that what he's done? And then the thing stands up, and you're like, oh no. Oh, he's fine. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the camera footage. Let's talk about the reveal that this place was set up by a researcher from a university who wanted to come and study the fairies. It's very convenient that they open the videos that have exactly the information they need, but of course you can't sit there and have people watch 300 videos. So I get it.
Well, what else were they going to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think maybe if he had been there and still alive, that could have been an interesting thing, but it would have messed with the story, with Madeline's story.
That was almost kind of another clue that Madeline was a Watcher, because when they're watching that, she's nowhere to be found.
That's right. Yeah, she's kind of off to the side. She walks away. So she already knows all that information.
Right.
Yeah. The moment that I for sure knew, oh, Madeline's a Watcher, when they get on the bus, because they all sit down at the same time, and Mina and Kira lean back in their seats, and the bus takes off, and it starts, rocking back and forth as buses do. And Madeline's the only one who's kind of looking like, whoa, I'm not used to this. And, you could play it off in your mind as, oh, she just hasn't been out of the forest in a really long time. But I was like, that right there, and it was such a subtle little thing that the actress did, but fantastic, because I was like, oh, she's not supposed to be
but
here.
I think it's stuff that you would catch in a second watch.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're more intent on, okay, when does this all really unfold? That's something you would catch in a second viewing.
I do think I will probably, once it comes out at home or something, or if I just have a free day to come back, I'll probably watch it again, because I'm so interested to see what little clues I missed.
Right.
And when did they actually give up the information? Because, did it take a long time before they actually revealed those things, and we just happened to catch them when they were first revealed, or was there other stuff? Because if there was, I want to know what it was, and I want to see all the little hidden bits, because that's so much fun for a movie like this to be like, oh, on the second viewing. So I think it's got some rewatchability.
Yeah, and the problem is today, and even last night, there was a couple of other people in the theater. But it hasn't improved.
Yeah, that's sad
at all.
I think it deserves better than it's getting. It's gotten middling to negative reviews generally, from what I've seen.
Yeah, which I think is very unfair.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, are people really bashing this because you have to think quite a bit during this film, and that's not almost kind of taboo when you go to movies anymore?
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
because you definitely have to sit there and think about what's being presented from you as you go along with this story.
Right, yeah.
And thinking man's films don't go over very well at all.
No.
And this may, unfortunately, follow into that trap.
But
considering your other option this weekend is shoot 'em up, blow 'em up.
Bad Boys Ride or
Die. And this is a more intellectual suspense film.
Yeah.
I think people are going to pick the popcorn flick over this.
Probably, yeah. And I understand that the appeal is much narrower. You would think the marketing, though, would get the horror crowd in. At least for the first weekend, and then maybe it would drop off and people are like, oh yeah, no one gets slashed to bits or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I definitely think that it's probably, unfortunately for Ishina, I hope I'm saying her name right. But it might just be that the Night Shyamalan name on it has turned some people away. And it's, don't blame the child for the sins of the parent. Like Knock at the Cabin
or The Happening. That's an even worse M. Night Shyamalan. That film was really terrible.
What were they thinking? It's the plant. Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you. I'm Mark Wahlberg, and I'm talking to a plant. It's like, what are you doing, man?
And it's funny. There was another horror film that came out around the time of The Happening, too, called The Ruins. That was almost kind of the same thing, but it was much more gorier and graphic.
Oh, really?
Where like these teenage kids go to like a Mayan ruin. They get to the top of it, and next thing you know, all these plants have grown, and they can't get off of it. And they are speaking to them to go into the thing to eventually get sacrificed.
Cool. That sounds more fun than The
Happening. It was. Not a great film either. It's not, but it was better than The Happening, which...
My general rule of thumb is if you're at least as fun as Alien versus Predator, knowing that movie was dumb and stupid, if you're at least as fun as that, I'll give you a pass. But The Happening was
at least
not.
The first, like Alien versus Predator Requiem was definitely a big waste of time.
I never saw that one.
You're not missing anything.
And there's about 5 minutes of Alien versus Predator I've never seen because I bought it on a $2 DVD bin at a gas station, and the disc is scratched, and I've never bothered to watch it on anything except that DVD.
That film, for what it is actually a lot of fun.
It's fun, yeah.
And I tried to get my son to watch it a couple of weeks ago, and because he's 11, he's getting to be older now. He might watch stuff that's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
And that film's not scary. It's more of an action film than it is anything else.
Absolutely, yeah.
But he got 20 minutes into it, and nope, that's it. I'm done. And he was like, I'm turning this off, Dad. Okay.
Well, hey, at least he knows what he likes.
Yeah, unfortunately, he likes garbage. He really, the stuff that he pulls out, and
we all grow into our film snob. He's just a late bloomer.
I'm not sure that he's going to ever get there.
With the house he's growing. Well, it may be a rebellion thing. He may be rebelling against your taste.
I hope not.
So, I want to talk about the inception of this study facility. So the professor, we find out, built this place because he wanted to study the fairies, because he thought he could bring people back essentially by getting a changeling to take on the form of someone who died, his wife, which is who the original Madeline was, who died well before the research station was ever even built. So about 8 years before. How did he play videos of her or something for them? It doesn't really explain how they got Madeline's form necessarily. They got his.
Yeah, because you see him get morphed into him at the end.
Yeah.
To manipulate Mina. There's a lot of stuff you could probably assume out of that, but we don't know if we're correct.
Yeah, I mean, they have the TV upstairs, so my best guess
Well,
is
and he
that
had a
he's playing
computer
stuff
downstairs
off of that.
too.
Right, yeah.
So God knows what was loaded onto that.
I hope it was RuneScape. I miss RuneScape.
What is that?
RuneScape? Okay, so back when I was in like elementary school, there was a game. It was an online game, and it was kind of like World of Warcraft, except everyone was human for the most part, and then you would go on these quests and get gold and whatever, but it was free. So you didn't have to pay for it. Man, I got scammed out of so much gold by people on RuneScape. They took all my gold.
Well, knowing how you are in real life, Garrett, that's probably didn't translate well over into the video game world.
I was much nicer back then. I was much more naive.
Much more gullible.
Now I'm a jerk. Now I'm a jerk who never gets taken advantage of. But there is someone who took advantage of me last year. Okay, so I'm missing thousands of dollars. Thanks, person. So, yeah, I don't like when people take my work and don't pay for it. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. No. And
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You know what happened though out of it? I learned to find peace in adversity by praying, and that was a lesson I needed to learn. So but also we had to eat a lot of ramen. So I think the VFX overall pretty solid. They're always obscured by darkness pretty much. Is it like the most incredible thing you'll ever see VFX wise? No, but it's solid. It holds up, I think, for the shots that it's in. It's restrained usage.
It's not ridiculous looking, that's for sure.
Yeah. And the choice to use the mirror and have it be reflective so they don't even have to worry about it for most of those things. Great, fantastic. And they even give an in-universe reason for that, because he's talking about how seeing himself is really freaking him out. Right. So he says, I need to treat the mirror so they can see me and I don't have to see them changing and doing all of that.
Right.
So I thought that was an interesting little thing where it was like, oh, it wasn't always that way.
Well, I thought even that shot at the end where Mina's talking to her sister and you almost think like it's a self-analysis thing and she's talking to herself until you notice the scar.
Yeah, and it's her twin.
And so how that was shot, I thought was done really well.
Yeah. It's all the split screen, both actors, that stuff worked really well. I know exactly how they did it too, which makes me feel happy. Because with a motorized, repeatable move, you can do stuff like that, and it's freaking seamless, man. And with how smooth those moves were, there's no doubt in my head that was a motorized tripod head on a motorized dolly, or one of those cine robots or something. Right. And it's seamless. It's really really well done. And I just need $2,000 and then I can do that. I'm not kidding you. I have everything else I need. I just need the motors.
So the question is this going to do well enough for her to get another project? And if it does, what is she going to tackle next?
Yeah, well, there is a sequel being worked on to the book already.
That A.M. Shine is doing?
Yeah, so there could be more material from this universe. Obviously, with the box office, and so far we've only got Thursday and most of Friday's numbers, but obviously not doing great.
Right.
But I think she will be able to work again because her work is good.
Yeah, that's I really would hate to see that her career is over after, one film because it wasn't received very well.
Well, and I mean, M. Night Shyamalan made The Happening and he's still making movies, so anything can happen.
Well, or even that Last Airbender? That made me not want to watch the cartoon.
The cartoon's so good though.
Everybody tells me that, but that film's awful.
Yeah, and that's because it ignores the cartoon. So,
but I mean, the one M. Night Shyamalan film that I like that people seem to hate is The Village. See, I actually like that one.
I haven't seen The Village, but I did see Split, and not knowing that it was connected to Unbreakable and everything. Spoilers. But I really loved Split. I didn't like Glass as much. I thought it was a little, I don't know. It just kind of was middling to me. But Split, and I think it's mostly because of James McAvoy's performance. I just really enjoyed watching that.
Oh yeah,
and seeing how that progressed into this sort of actual superhuman thing and the Beast, and was like, okay, that's cool.
So you should check out the trailer for. He has a film coming out this fall called Speak No Evil. and it's a horror film, but it looks a little bit more interesting than a typical like slasher film.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure we'll see many more Shyamalan movies because how can we not?
Well, he's got a big family too, so this can't be the only director.
It just like go out and take over Hollywood, my minions. Yeah. What do you think actually draws people to the forest? Like, because that doesn't really get explained. They just say at the beginning with the voiceover, "There's a forest that draws lost souls to it, like moths to a flame." But that's kind of esoteric and ridiculous.
I think it's kind of a fate of nature that they're destined to end up there, because Mina's whole purpose to go there was to deliver that bird.
Right, yeah.
And her car breaks down. So I think it's just fate of will that people end up there.
Yeah, and it's interesting, though, because it's like by the end, Madeline, I keep forgetting her name. Madeline says, if it wasn't for you, I would have been trapped there forever, just like all of my brethren or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, so did you call her specifically, or I want to know more about that just because I'm curious. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't really matter to the theme of the film.
No, it really doesn't.
What does Mina do to the men that she meets? Because they show her, she puts on a wig and goes out and pretends to be a different. You can do that? Okay, I guess so. I thought it was going to be this. So this is one of the things I wanted more of.
I think
having sex with people.
Well, no, I think it was a way to cope with her guilt and repressing feelings, was just to have one night stands with guys.
Yeah, well, I thought, based on the trailer, I thought it was going to be like she goes out and maybe she murders these people, and so that's why she ends up in the forest, is because she's this bad person. And
the story's not that evil.
It's not, and I think
this isn't Hellraiser.
I think I was just expecting that, and so I was kind of disappointed that there wasn't more to that. It was, but the theme of the movie is really about people aren't who you think they are,
right?
And so that's what they're setting up there. I just had a different idea in my head because of what the trailer kind of seemed to imply.
But sometimes the trailers are very misleading.
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I try not to watch them a lot of the time. Actually, because I do that. I get those expectations in my head, and then I end up with little disappointments, and I'm just like, well, that's not fair to them. It's not the movie's fault. Some other guy,
it's marketing.
Some other ding dong in California was like, what sell this movie? Let's make it look like murder. and then we're like, why do you have a Texas accent? He's like, because I think it's cool. And so, it's morons lying to the general audience. But I wanted just a little bit more of Mina's personal struggle to matter to the overall plot. And I don't think I'll ever not feel that way. It's not that it wasn't there. It just was a little thinner than I wanted, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
I wish there had been more to do with her art, or like the forest playing with her mind, because she sees some hallucinations and things. Yeah, but are they hallucinations or are they changelings pretending to be her sister? But that wouldn't make sense, because where would they get the clothes? They're all naked. So it's hallucinations.
From the pit.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like they kept saying that the forest will play tricks on your mind. Don't forget what's real and what's not. Which is a setup for the fact that Daniel later thinks that he sees John and tries to help him, and it's a changeling.
Right.
But it's like I wanted a little bit more of that psychological torture, and there's plenty of it in there, with Kira's husband and stuff like that. But I think I just wanted a little bit more of that, because Kira almost loses it and throws herself into a burrow, but then just doesn't because.
Mina talks her off the ledge.
She says something to her, but she was about to jump, and it was Madeline screams when Daniel ties her up, and that's when they both go running. And then from then on, it's like she just kind of latches on to Daniel after that point, and it's like, well, what about John? They have a very emotionally close moment in the bunker where Daniel finally tells us that his dad was very abusive. And he thinks if he had stayed, he would have killed him. And so that's kind of how we found out, like, okay, so that's kind of his brokenness, But again, doesn't really matter much in the grand scheme of things.
And John we see get killed at the beginning of the movie. That's the opening sequence.
He's gone.
Yeah.
He was gone when he fell out that tree. That arm was not going to heal properly.
Yeah.
I actually, several times, I thinking back to that, after the first bird thing, anytime I saw just something that I thought looked like a bird on screen, I stuffed my fingers in my ears. I was like, not again. You're not doing this to me. Because I work in film, so like I do sound mixing, and I have to be able to hear all the little different tones and stuff, and so I'm super protective of my hearing. Every time I'm at a wedding, I have my AirPods in. I'm not playing anything. I'm just using them as earplugs. And so like I was sitting there. I was like, if an M. Night Shyamalan produced movie causes me to lose part of my hearing, I'm going to be really pissed off. I'll lose it for Spielberg, but not for this.
Yeah. You'll lose it for Jurassic World Part whatever.
Part 17, this time starring all of the children that are on Disney Channel now because they all just grow up and become horrible adults. It's not their fault. They're a product of their environment. Disney's a bad place. Anyway, why... Did it strike you as kind of odd that Mina only made marks on the tree, or they only showed her making marks on the tree that led out to 134?
Yeah.
Why didn't they show her putting like an X
arrows
over?
That's kind of what
this path out to 84
I
is
didn't
an
quite
X.
understand what the coding sequence was supposed to do.
Well, and I thought when she wrote down, she did the marks on the trees, and then she went home and she wrote down 84 on the floor. And I was like, okay, so she went out to marker 84. That's going to be important. And then when it does the top-down shot and shows, the 1, 2, 3 marks, that goes out to 134. And I was like, bull crap, does not. That does not. That goes out to 84. I remembered. I paid attention. And
the continuity director fell asleep.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, it was that was the only thing that was like a plot hole in my head. Was just that because I was like,
it's not. Honestly, it's not that important.
No, but it's annoying. And I'm very, very, very easily annoyed. So that's...
Well, yeah, we know this. That's why I'm surprised you're still doing this with me.
Oh, no, you're not the annoying one here. Not by a long shot.
That's good to know.
Not even a little bit. So Daniel's an idiot.
Yeah?
Daniel's a freaking moron. They're almost out. They're almost to the boat, and he turns around and picks up someone he knows to be dead. He's seen them pretend to be this man before, and he still goes, "I got to save John." And it's just like, shut up. That was Scottish. That wasn't Irish at all.
You figure in that whole escape sequence, somebody got to go.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And it might as well have been him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that's spoiled in the second trailer that I saw. Was it shows him with the mark in his forehead and the guy grabbing his neck.
Really?
And I'm like, well, spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's...
Jeez.
Who cut that trailer?
Some moron. He was like, that'd be cool. It was... But I was frustrated because I wanted to see... If he was going to die... I mean, he did die trying to save someone. But I think if someone was going to die, and I thought it might be Mina... if someone's going to die, it needed to be a selfless sacrifice to like distract the changelings or do something like that, because they've all been working pretty much towards their own interests. Even they all had the same.
I more
interests
expected the other woman to die even before Daniel.
Kira.
Yes.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah. I didn't want her to though.
That whole right. Because she had been through enough trauma anyway, and she was holding on to the fact that her husband still might be alive.
Yeah.
And she really was in denial of him just being gone.
Yeah.
And that end sequence where Mina shows up at her house and things kind of happen there, and then it's not her, she's not even home yet. I thought that at that point, she's dead.
So that was the thing I got slightly wrong. I knew that...
Yeah, I got it wrong too, obviously.
Madeline, I keep having to look down at my notes. I knew that Madeline was a changeling. The I should have killed you months ago, and then the moment on the bus, I was like, it's not over. It can't be over. That would have been a stupid ending. It's not over. And I was like, even a Shyamalan wouldn't do that
honestly,
to us.
if the movie ended like that last night, I would have thrown the book into the fireplace.
Yeah, it's
because I'm like, I'm not reading the rest of this.
That would have been a garbage ending. I know, but I was like, there's got to be more. And I wondered. I almost wanted to look over at you and see if you were going, what the heck? but I think we were both having that same moment. But yeah, once they stepped foot on the bus, I was like, uh-oh. And then later when Mina shows up at Kira's house, I thought it was going to be revealed that both Madeline and Kira were changelings.
Okay.
But no, it was still just the one, and it was Madeline pretending to be Kira, and then Kira arrives home, which actually kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, I would have expected it to be like, oh, we have a couple that can go out if they can make it out.
Right.
And so,
which is explained about Madeline, which is why she was allowed to go out in sunlight and everything and do what she needed to do at the coop.
Yes. Yeah.
Not corpse, coop.
And so, and okay, so I have a question for you. If Madeline is a changeling, does that mean? I think they said at the end that she was the one that got captured by the professor, and that's how she got the human form of Madeline down. She was the one who was caught, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's not that the professor caught that one, and then she's a halfling because he had intercourse with the fairy.
No.
Okay, so there was.
This isn't Split.
Okay, thank God. Okay, because I was just sitting there going, I don't think I could do it.
No,
I don't think I could do it.
No, I don't think it was going that route at all.
Okay, so I
that's too icky to even think about.
It's very disgusting. I know.
So why did it come out of your mouth?
Because I'm a dummy. I wrote down, did the professor have sex with a fairy? Just as a question, and then was like, wait, that's a dumb question, but it was in the notes, and then we hadn't talked about how she was a halfling yet, so I thought, that's the funniest way to bring it up, and now my mother is disappointed in me. So, who does it... It doesn't really delve into who her parentage really is then. It's just like, oh, she's living a long time. It's from back when.
She's the descendant of this race of like, I really like to put it like they were guardian angels.
I think that was, kind of their original role.
Yeah. And that guardian angels were actually advising humans in as an equal almost.
Yeah.
Even though they had the one line there about they were godlike at one point and then were cast aside.
Right.
But they were much assimilated into society as you or me at some point.
Yeah. I mean, they show up in all these drawings and things.
That's why there's that anger and wanting to reassimilate into society because that's gone because of man and how things happened. And a lot of that reminds me of a film called The Prophecy, where there's like a war in heaven with angels and it kind of spills over into earth. And Christopher Walken's in it. It's the same guy that wrote Highlander. And it's not a bad little film.
Familiar.
Like the premise of that film is super interesting.
Prophecy. Okay. Yeah. There's a movie I saw like 5 seconds of when I was a child. Back when Netflix was still just delivering DVDs.
Oh, wow.
And it was... I just remember there being the devil surrounded by fire, like taking over Earth or something.
No,
and I've been trying to figure out what the heck that thing was.
That's not it.
Darn it.
Because Viggo Mortensen plays the devil in that film and he actually saves the day.
Huh.
Which is super interesting.
And absolutely a bastardization of the truth.
Yeah.
I didn't curse. That's not a curse word. To bastardize something is to change it and make it unrecognizable from its original form, and it's not bad.
But the whole center of that story, too, is a guy that was supposed to be a priest that lost his voice to the calling at the time that he needed it. When he was taking his vows and being indoctrinated to be a priest is when he walked away from it and ends up being a cop.
Huh.
And that's
did you see the sequel, The Prophecy 2?
No. Most of those I heard were just awful. The first one is the one that I liked.
Okay.
Huh. It's not a big film.
Well, and I think that was what I was talking about earlier when you mentioned the guardian angel thing the first time, and I was saying they're born of the earth. Like the folklore in a lot of Europe is less that these things are either good or evil necessarily. Mm-hmm. Some of them are, but they are basically born of nature. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much. It's not connected to God or the devil necessarily. It's connected to the land itself and stewardship and those kinds of things. Right. So a lot of the time these stories they come about as ways to warn kids not to do stupid things or to explain things that we can't quite understand. And so there's a lot of that. And I think that's why, like, when we talk about guardian angels, I'm thinking about, God's angels. but I think that that this definitely plays more into, especially with them being buried. I think it really plays into that original sort of story of halflings and fairies and stuff, and how they are a product of nature itself and are meant to either create balance, or some of them just cause havoc for fun.
Right.
And I wonder, like, I hadn't heard much necessarily about ones that acted as stewards of mankind or anything like that. So that was an interesting kind of different take that I saw here. And so, I think that's interesting. I definitely, I would like to see, are there other halflings out in the world?
Maybe that's what the second book is going to hold.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting, but I also don't know if it would make a good movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's good as a one and done and not really a sequel.
Yeah.
But maybe in book form, just not as a film.
Yeah. Like, how can you... The only thing I think you could do to make the second one kind of interesting and feel like a sequel to this one is you have to put Mina back in danger because she's upset Madeline or something, and Madeline starts bringing other halflings in to torture her.
The movie does end with that door kind of wide open because you see the little girl outside the apartment with her daughter, and the faces, or not her daughter, her sister. And the face is, it's Madeline. It's
wrong,
right. So
I did like the detail of earlier on. The professor said something about it appears in different forms to taunt me. Sometimes a little red-haired girl, and then that's the character you see at the end. That's the form she's taken. So I think that was a fun little nod.
So there is the potential for another one to be made with that being open. The question is, are people really going to notice that?
Well, she turns and looks right at the camera, so no. No, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, that's that's not just a little girl. I think that's going to read to like 95% of the audience.
Okay.
Because her eyes are wrong, and the first thing that the human brain looks at when we see a human face, we go straight to the eyes. I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's these really cool experiments they do where they show a heat map of where eyes are looking on a screen while watching a video, and we just snap to eyeballs every time.
Should tell some of the people that we interview for here, though. That's sometimes where their eyeballs don't go.
Yeah, mine are all over the place when I'm talking. I look like I'm playing Pong in my head when I'm trying to talk to people. Bloop, bloop. Okay, so I do have a question about the finale, and I think this was probably the thing that made me most kind of confused, I guess, which was Mina starts to tell Madeline about, I think I know why you can walk in the sun. It's because you're a halfling and all this stuff. And I know what it's like to feel like a monster. And this is her more personal moment is kind of talking to Madeline and going, look, I get it. I'm also responsible for some horrible things, but that doesn't have to be who I am.
Right.
Why does that cause Madeline to convulse? It does. She just kind of goes, stop talking. Wings.
The truth hurts.
But it was a nice truth.
Yeah, but even still, it was something that she didn't want to hear.
Right.
Like she was bent on, I'm taking over your body and this is going to happen and I don't care what you say. Yeah.
That's another question I have. Why Mina? She already could take over.
Because she felt that she was soulless. It was easier to take possession of somebody's body that was already checked out than somebody that had something to live for.
Because no one will know the difference.
Right.
She does spell that out very clearly. See, that's what I told you. 95% of the audience, that will be very obvious. And then there's those 5% of morons.
And those are the ones that are going to come out, the movie's stupid.
Yeah. Or try to record a whole podcast about it. No, I'm talking about me, not you. Don't worry. I'm being nice today. I don't know. I'm just I think I was a little I wasn't like totally enamored with the film, but I enjoyed most of it.
Like I said, it was better than I thought it was going to be because I had very low expectations. So when that happens, I'm always good. You know, will I watch it again? Yeah, maybe once when it comes on to streaming.
Yeah.
To kind of, just like you said, see if there was anything that we missed.
Yeah.
But after that, probably not.
Well, for the first time in a while, I'm actually interested to read the book it's based on. So I think that's actually...
As soon as I'm done, I will give you the book.
That would be awesome. I think that's actually a mark of quality for an adaptation, to be like, oh, this was good. You know, what are the little differences? Because I now know the story, I guess, but what are the things that are different and change?
Right.
And I'm interested to see if there is a little bit more of that interpersonal character stuff in the book. Or what other, you know,
I think there's a little bit from what I'm reading right now, but I'm not horribly deep into the book.
Yeah. Well, this is a premise movie more than it is a character movie, and that's not a bad thing. It knows what it is. And I enjoy it for that. The twist was not quite as exciting as the twist when we find out that Nicolas Cage as a mole is the traitor in G-Force. But I do think that didn't expect it a second time.
Or whether he is or is not a vampire in Vampire's Kiss.
Or whether or not he is or is not a vampire in real life.
Don't go with Renfield. Watch Vampire's Kiss. Yeah. It's a lot more interesting.
I know people who worked on Renfield, and I still couldn't finish it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was just catering. So.
Oh, okay.
It's not her fault. She just made Nicolas Cage a cake that he really liked.
I just remember being so interested and pumped to see that film, and what a disappointment that was.
Yeah. As soon as Awkwafina showed up, I was like, I'm sorry. I don't think Awkwafina is bad. She just kind of grates on my nerves.
It wasn't even that. It was the fact that they turned the story into Dracula taking on drug dealers. And I'm like, this is stupid. Come on.
What else would he do? I mean, he definitely, he had a criminal enterprise back in the 1700s or whatever, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't pushing dope.
I mean, you got to adapt with the times.
No.
Because sometimes life sucks.
No.
It's a bloody business to be in, I tell you what.
Really?
Am I driving you batty?
That's even worse. Movie news now.
Yeah. I want out. I want to be done with this. Overall though, watchers.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
It's an interesting watch. If you want to see something a little bit more on the intellectual side and not just fluff, this would be the one to go see.
And I don't think it's like so thinky that you can't just sit back and enjoy. I think it's got enough stuff in it that you can turn your brain off.
My wife didn't want to see it.
Oh yeah, that's
like
right.
She only came because you and Hannah were there, and then she comes out. She really liked it.
Hold on. She likes us.
Yes.
We like her too.
My wife is less judgmental than I
am. You don't like us? Don't answer that, Andy. Don't answer it. I don't want to know.
I wouldn't be doing this week in and week out with you if I didn't like you.
No, I enjoy your company a lot.
I do too.
This is always a really fun 6 hours that I cut down to an hour and a half. Just like I said before we started
recording, this is the highlight of my day.
It's also the highlight of the day of everyone who walks by these glass windows here at Grand Avenue and sees us
on a Friday.
There's a fun little thing. You should come to Grand Avenue on Friday around about 5 o'clock. You can gape at us like two monkeys in a zoo as you go by to go to your theater.
Although I'm still really excited to see the little movie we got this week, Ezra.
I just thought we'd have a more interesting conversation about this one, so we chose to watch it.
And I wasn't going to push you for that. Ezra's a little bit more touch home base with me and a little more emotional from my perspective on that. Yeah. And that's why I want to see it more.
Yeah. Well, and I have had some opportunities in my life to work with kids with special needs. And it's always been, an eye-opening and kind of very joyful experience, which is something that when I was younger, I was always like, well, I don't know what to, do. But I started around 16 is kind of the first time I got a chance to work at a camp. And they did all kinds of like therapy with horses and stuff like that. And I enjoyed doing that a lot, and I've gotten a couple chances to do that since then. So it was cool. Something that I also had like a personal interest in, but this one just seemed more bonkers.
Yeah.
So, you got to go bonkers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was definitely going to be more interesting than us watching Bad Boys Ride or Die.
And just going, they blew up stuff.
Yeah, this person got shot. Yeah, this stunt happened. Yeah, this car got torn to pieces.
Yep. And I do kind of want to see it just to see if they let Will Smith slap somebody as a joke. But that's the only reason.
And you're not the first person to say that. Like almost everybody here at the theater, that's like, I wonder if he's going to slap somebody in the movie.
He's not going to escape it.
It's funny that that's what they've equated Will Smith with now.
I mean, he did it live on national TV.
Yeah.
You do that backstage like everyone else in Hollywood.
Right.
You never slap someone in their face. You find a knife and you stab it into their back when they're not looking.
Ooh.
That's how you do Hollywood. That's the only way. There's a reason I'm not out there.
And I'm not begrudging anybody that, you know, that's the kind of movie that they want to see. That's the kind of that they're waiting for. That's perfectly fine. You know, just us doing a podcast about it, I think would have been kind of a waste of time.
No, I think like if we had talked, if it had been 2018 and we did Death Wish, I definitely would have talked about that on the show. Because
have you seen it?
I have.
Have you seen the original one?
I have not.
Yeah, not a shock.
I saw that one and went, man, Bruce Willis is kind of phoning it in, and then we found out everything that's happened with Bruce Willis, and I feel really bad because for a while I was like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Oh, he was providing for his family, and I'm the jerk along with everyone else on the internet. So
if you watch the original one with Charles Bronson, it's not even close.
I did watch a video that kind of talked about all the previous Death Wish movies. So
and some of them are hilarious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm familiar with them, but haven't sat down and watched them all the way through.
And most of them are Canon Pictures release too, which is even
just
worse.
Amazing. It's amazing. Oh, what is the guy from Canon that everyone from Red Letter Media always loves?
Menahem Golem?
No, his name was
Yoram Globus. Those were the two guys behind Canon Pictures.
I'm sorry, Yoram Globus?
Yeah.
That's an incredible name. My favorite name. Okay, it's a tie, but I think my favorite name of all time of an actress is Imogen Poots because that's freaking hilarious. And it's not her name. It's not her fault. It is her name. It's not her. I'm trying to type while I'm speaking. It's not her fault that it's funny because she's not from here, but it's Imogen Poots.
Yeah.
I can't. But the other one, which I found out about this actress when the Cloverfield Paradox came out, her name is Gugu Mbatha Raw, and it's just the most fun name to say.
No,
it's
I
so
got one
fun.
better. The basketball player at one point that was Makimbe Matumbo.
Oh, Makimbe Matumbo?
Yeah,
oh, that's
I
great.
think I'm getting that right,
That's
but
fantastic.
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm going to be saying that to myself all day. That's fantastic.
Listening to Howard Stern when he was popular, like they would always play a clip of an interview with him and like play the Cookie Monster because they sounded the same.
Are they?
Like saying, me think cookies are good. That's how this guy actually sounded.
Well, hey, I mean, you know, if it gets you media attention, it's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true at all. Hold on. Clinton.
Or there's a series on Peacock, I think, right now about the 1990s Yankees. It's a train wreck. And like the one guy on the team that was dating, like went to somebody's high school prom and was dating her and was grooming her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't. Siri, shut up. Oh no, I actually activated Siri on my own devices. Yeah, so should we get into news?
Yeah.
I had a thought, but it wasn't important and was also not funny. So
Okay.
And that's by my standards.
Wow, that's bad.
I know. Let's talk about the news. So there's a headline I read that I read it and thought, oh, this is just clickbaity crap. And then I clicked on it, and no, the headline for once was justified. The headline was, Hugh Jackman to star in 3 Bags Full for Amazon MGM, and you definitely need to read the synopsis. Are you ready for one of the most...
It can't be any worse than Blink Twice, which is the one that keeps popping up on my radar lately.
Blink Twice?
Yeah, it's a Channing Tatum film, and it looks really strange, where he's like an uber rich guy that ends up taking these people back to his private island for a party, and they all start disappearing in one way or another. And the trailer is confusing as it is because it can't decide if it's a horror film or a comedy.
Horror comedy can work.
It can,
Tucker
but...
and Dale versus Evil, for instance.
Right.
Perfect
Fantastic
example.
film. I love that movie. But this one, just after you see the trailer for it, you just go, huh?
Okay. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Channing Tatum fan.
Neither am I.
And I, mostly
But I
because
did like Dog.
I haven't seen Dog.
That one's actually pretty good.
Okay.
You should give that a watch.
Okay. I have a hard time with dog movies because I've lost a lot of dogs myself. And so
I can understand that.
That's tough. And I don't admit that often. Normally I'm just like, nah, they're hairy and smelly and they're too expensive and they don't even. I mean,
so you definitely don't watch Marley and Me.
I did as a child.
Okay.
As a child, I watched that movie and I was not prepared.
You should read the book. The book has so much more stuff in it than the film did. It's even better.
But does it have Owen Wilson saying "wow" to a dog? Because that's as a kid, that was all I thought mattered until the end.
The biggest revealing thing about that film was how much Kathleen Turner had degenerated. Because she's the obedience instructor of the dogs.
Yeah.
And you heard the voice and wait a minute. No, that's Romancing the Stone, hot body Kathleen Turner. This is what she's become? Wow.
Well, the thing is, I used to be young and hot. I was in the sun a lot.
I don't even know how to respond to that at this point. Okay, what's the synopsis of this Hugh Jackman film?
Okay, so this Hugh Jackman film is called 3 Bags Full, and it's based on Leonie Swan's international bestseller. So it's based on a book.
Okay.
The film follows George Hardy, Jackman, a shepherd who loves his sheep and raises them only for their wool. Every night, he reads aloud a murder mystery, pretending his sheep can understand, never suspecting that not only can they understand, but they argue for hours afterwards about who done it. When George is found dead under mysterious circumstances, the sheep realize at once that it was a murder, and they think they know everything about how to go about solving it.
This sounds like that beaver movie. The 10,000 Beavers?
Oh, I need to see that. Hold on, let me get back to that. The local cop, Tim Derry, on the other hand, has never solved a serious crime in his life, so the sheep conclude they will have to solve it themselves, even if it means leaving their meadow for the first time and facing the fact that the human world isn't as simple as it appears in books.
What?
I am not... I pulled this from JoeBlow.com.
Okay,
all right? This is not my fault.
Joe Blow's notable. I respect the source on that. Okay,
I switched from Screen Rant because of you, and I've never been happier. Screen Rant's garbage.
Joe Blow's actually the only thing about the reviews. Those guys don't like anything.
They didn't like The Watchers.
Yeah, but I ran into that even Variety really bashed it this morning.
Yeah, The Watchers. I know we're kind of looping back, but it has been getting much worse reviews than it deserves, and I think it's because these people have seen a lot of movies. But
I've seen a lot of movies too, and I didn't dislike it.
But they have to review them every week. You'll get there.
No, no, that's not going to happen. No,
there are certain people who, when they watch enough, get very jaded. And I think that's what we're seeing reflected in those reviews.
I think if I get to see a certain type of film enough times, I get I'm definitely that way about horror films.
Yeah.
As much as I like them, most of the stuff they put out anymore for that genre is crap.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe they've just seen enough, low budget suspense movies that they're just like, this all sucks. Well,
because everybody made all the comparisons to The Birds, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I didn't. Or Bird Box.
Bird Box sucked.
I don't think this. I don't think this really shared a lot of DNA with Bird Box.
No, it doesn't. Bird Box is more like A Quiet Place than it is anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like Sandra Bullock obviously is not reading the scripts anymore that she gets. She just goes, yes, like Nicolas Cage does.
Hey, maybe she's providing for her family too. I'll never make fun of someone for working.
No, maybe she's going to be the female hamster for G-Force.
Can you imagine sexy hamster's voice?
No, but that movie, that one that you just heard, that sounds like that stupid beaver film that I saw. That I was like, oh, I have to see this just because the trailer for it was ridiculous.
Yeah, the trailer is insane. I wanted to see it just to see what it was. Was it not worth it?
Did we almost do a field trip to Austin to go see that? I remember that at one point.
I think we talked about it at some point.
Because I think we were like,
there was a moment where I said something about a movie with a bunch of beavers, and I think I saw your eyes light up like, I got him. Yeah, I did. But you've seen it?
No.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know the premise of it. I just know there are 10,000 beavers and that one guy made it, I think. Something like that.
And it's all like these people dressed up in beaver suits.
Yeah, but it's the same beaver suit every time you see it on screen.
Right. And honestly, I don't see where there is a story to it, to be honest.
I don't know if there is, but all the reviews were just like, this is a weird thing you got to see.
Right. So, that's the exact same thing I read. Yeah.
Maybe we'll be able to do a bonus episode on 10,000 beavers. I would love to do that.
I haven't found it yet on streaming or anywhere either, so I don't know what's going on with that.
I don't know. Maybe they're just doing that thing that they used to do where there's a gap between when you can see it in theaters and when you can see it at home. You know, like reasonable thing.
The window.
Yeah, the window that got shrunk from like 6 months to yesterday.
45 days.
If you're lucky. If you're lucky and the studio doesn't decide, we'll just dump it on streaming too because screw your box office.
Paramount is the one that screwed that up.
Really?
They did that with, I think it was one of the G.I. Joe films. And
Snake Eyes?
No, it was Retaliation, I think.
That was way before the pandemic.
Yeah, no, this was going on before that.
That's stupid.
And then there was the POV thing that I remember at
Hardcore Henry?
No.
Okay, never mind.
It wasn't POV, it was VOD, video on demand.
Yeah.
Where things were going to be on streaming the same day that it was in theaters, and then Warner Brothers did it.
Yep.
And I remember sitting at CinemaCon in Vegas and watching Todd Haynes, who directed Hangover and School for Scoundrels, going, I make movies for the theater, not for effing television.
Yep.
And everybody, you see the Warner Brothers executives sitting down front going, oh, Jesus. And everybody, all the exhibitors are like, yes.
Maybe we should have launched this idea after this conference.
And it got, the best example of that was, there was a Ben Stiller movie, Tower Heist.
Yeah.
So that film originally was supposed to be on demand the same day it was in theaters. Cinemark, Regal, and AMC both stepped up and say, you do this, we're not playing it, period.
Yeah.
And Universal caved.
Good. They should. This freaking online stuff. Ugh.
No, Warner, I really got mad, and so did. How much you want to bet Warner Brothers is kicking themselves after this past year with the Academy Awards because
lost Christopher Nolan.
They lost Christopher Nolan, and he walked down the aisle with the Academy Award.
I think I've
serves you right.
Mentioned this on the podcast before, but he put out a message. I don't know if it was a tweet or whatever, but the day they announced that, he said, last night we all went to bed thinking we worked for the best motion picture company in the world, and we woke up working for the worst streaming service.
Yeah.
I was like, dang. And also that since it's HBO Max that they're, that they kind of own, right?
Yeah. And actually the Discovery Network and TLC and all that owns it now.
Right. Yeah.
Which is even weirder.
It's no longer HBO Max. It's Max.
It's just Max. Yeah.
Because dropping the recognizable name from your product is a good idea. But I watched Mad Max Fury Road on that, and I had my headphones all the way up. I was watching it with my headphones so I could get
still couldn't hear it, could you?
Couldn't hear it. No. I don't know who is in charge of setting the levels. And look, it's not difficult. There's a program you can run in your editing software that tells you the LUFS. And LUFS is essentially how loud it appears to be.
It's only with
thing.
HBO Max either.
Only
like
with
Hulu
HBO Max.
And everybody else.
It's like negative 80
okay.
LUFS. It's awful.
Right.
Stupid. And then if I forget and I go to YouTube, it's and it's awful. Sorry, but like it blows out my TV speakers. It's just, how are they? You're a movie company. Get your audio levels right. I even have to do it, and I'm one guy running a company out of my home, and I can do that.
And you can master that with the resources of a major studio.
I know all of the ads that play here. You notice how none of them are really quiet, and then none of them are like super loud. That's because I did the stuff.
There is one of them that does not say, and I'm not going to mention the company, but it sounds horrible.
That's not because of my levels,
That's not
though.
because of you, though. No.
That's just bad microphone placement,
right.
I think. So if you'd like to replace your ad, if you're hearing this and you think that might be you or anyone else, if you'd like to put an ad on Grand Avenue Theater, you need quality content. And here in Belton, Temple, the Central Texas area, there is no one that does it quite the same as Solar Flare Productions. I'm telling you, man, we do what other people do for $50,000, we do for $5. And we really love supporting small businesses and making it something where you can put your best foot forward. Because I've run a small business, my dad's run small businesses.
And now that we've solved all our technical problems with the pre-show here and like get it off the hard drive.
That wasn't my fault. That's Windows.
No, that wasn't even my fault. That my office computer blew up.
Yeah, well, the computer blew up. Permissions were just an interesting IT issue, but we got it solved. We fixed.
Figured it out.
And thanks to Daniel for helping out.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, so Sheep movie. I want to see this. We're absolutely watching this.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't let you off
I would
the
much
hook.
rather watch the next Wallace and Gromit movie coming on Netflix before watching this.
Wallace and Gromit. I love Wallace and Gromit. And I don't know if this will be good, but I love it.
I do too. I really like Aardman Studios.
They're so good.
I do.
They're so good.
It's a shame that it's coming out to Netflix.
Yeah.
And they're bringing back, I can't remember the bad guy from, it's a duck or a chicken or...
Is it
McFeathers?
Is it the penguin?
Yes.
It's the penguin?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's his revenge.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
Oh.
So I immediately saw that today. I was like, ooh, this is, I'll have to watch this when my wife's not around because she'll think I'm completely stupid.
I grew up on Wallace and Gromit,
So did I.
This was,
My first exposure to that was going to an animation festival. And it was a close shave that they presented at the animation, and I was in love as soon as I saw that.
Yeah. I remember I watched the one where they go to the moon so many times.
Yeah.
So many times.
And I like Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Yeah, I do. I think I was disappointed in it as a kid. I thought this doesn't feel right. But then I rewatched it a couple years ago and was like, no, this is beautiful stuff. So they it's called A Vengeance Most Foul. So
Yep.
It focuses on Wallace's dependency on his befuddling inventions. So, all right. Cool. Yeah.
Just a standard episode for them.
Yep. Oh, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are you excited for this? The follow-up to Godzilla Kong New Empire finds a new director. So we
kind of talked about this the last time.
Well, last time we talked about how Adam Wingard was not coming back. He's working on something else.
Director.
Now they have a director. So it's the director of I Am Mother, Grant Sputer.
I never saw that on Netflix.
I didn't either, and I went to look and see what else he's done.
It's on my list, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, I think I saw a... Wait, is I Am Mother the one... Is Jennifer Lopez?
No,
that's just Mother. No, that's Darren
Enough.
Aronofsky. What?
Mother's Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
There's a movie that Jennifer Lopez did called Enough, where, men are evil and I have to, fight back. Where she learns MMA to take on her abusive husband.
Okay, well that's pretty cool. I would
it's got Jennifer Lopez attached to it. No, the one that's now, is it called Angel or something like that, where she's in a robot and it looks completely stupid.
Okay, so that one I'm actually pissed off about, not for the reasons that I think it's stupid, but because it's ripping off a video game series that I love called Titanfall. Titanfall is all about a pilot and his relationship with this giant mech that kind of has an AI, whatever. But the game is, first off, fantastic first-person shooter. If you like that kind of game, it's one of the best ones I've ever played. The Titanfall 2 is the only one that has a campaign. The first one was just purely multiplayer. But it came out, Titanfall 2, when did that come out? Because I am still playing it now. It came out
I just don't play games.
2016. So this game is 8 years old, and it is still my favorite shooter.
Okay.
And it's so good. And the by the end of it, you really care about the robot, which is like a crazy thing to pull off in a video game. So anyway, but I don't know if it's called Angel or what, but or Anchor.
I just saw the trailer and her being in this robot in an action film, and I just started laughing. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Atlas. It's called Atlas.
Yeah. Okay.
It's basically...
It's not important what the title is anyway.
It's that meme where it's like, hey, can we have a Titanfall movie, Mom? No, we have Titanfall at home. It's that. It's And so, yeah, I'm not excited about that. I mean, I'm going to watch it because I love the concept enough to just see if it's any even dumb fun.
There's only even one Jennifer Lopez movie that I really can't stand her as an actress.
I can't remember the last time I watched something with her in it. At all.
Well, honestly, me neither, because most of the stuff she does anymore is just these romantic comedy Hallmark films that are god awful.
But also that one where it was like her and a group of strippers who take over the world.
Oh, Hustle.
Hustle, that's right.
Where they were ripping off their clients. Everybody told me that was good, but I was like, she's in it? No, forget it. I don't care.
Yeah, there's always some actors who you just can't look past it, and
right,
she's always been one of them for me.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. She was in Ants. No wonder I didn't like that movie. Monster-in-Law is kind of funny.
No.
A little bit.
No.
A little bit.
No.
A little bit.
No.
Just a little bit.
No. I liked Ants more than I did Monster-in-Law.
She was in The Boy Next Door where she gets it on with Zac Efron.
God.
That was the whole thing.
I never saw that.
Second act, which is wow. That poster doesn't even look like a real movie. She was in a movie called The Mother. It was a Netflix movie called The Mother. I don't know what it's about, and I don't care.
I don't either.
So let's see. So I don't know. I Am Mother, which was apparently
Hilary
Swank.
Yes.
That's the guy who's directing the next Godzilla movie. And I went and looked. I don't see any other feature film credits to his name at all. I don't know what he's got a credit from 2008
That's
on
a little
something.
scary.
But to be fair,
although if it has no humans in it, it's just like the fighting monsters. They should just listen to us and go with our premise that we had for the last one. That way you don't even have to pay actors and actresses, just CGI the entire thing and put it on screen and people will come.
Just don't even worry about doing CGI. Just get two people to smash action figures together long enough that plastic bits fall off of them and we'll be like, yeah.
Oh, kind of like how Jaws the Revenge looks.
Yes, exactly. Look at how successful that was. It's getting a 4K Blu-ray release.
But they all are. It's not just the Revenge.
I know.
I can't believe the cult following behind Jaws the Revenge, though. That's a real thing.
People love bad movies, man. They really do.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I really can't say much because there's some bad movies that I like.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally UHF, the Weird Al movie,
I love that movie,
was lambasted for whatever reason. It did not
for
catch
what
at
that film
moment,
is, though. It is perfect.
There is not a single moment I would change. It is totally in my head too. Every now and then just pops in. They had these two famous performers on for a really quick bit, and it's the two guys in mime makeup, and they're like, la, 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 la. And that's all they did for 30 seconds, and then they were never seen again. But that has stuck in my head along with everything else. And I actually, I have a mission in my head. You know how to make GIFs.
I know what they are. I don't know how to make those. Come on.
Okay, so Photoshop. You just take a little video file, you export it really small, put it in there, reduce the amount of colors, make it as small as you can, and then you export it from Photoshop. There's a song Weird Al did that's called Albuquerque.
Yeah.
That is 11 minutes long, and it has an incredible animation that I've been watching since I was a child. And I want to make a GIF of every line of that song because all of them are completely quotable and useful in situations. Hannah and I, on the way to church every Sunday, that's what we sing in the car. We sing Albuquerque with each other. We're an odd couple. But
I still quote, everybody just looks at me weird around the theater when I go, and you get the fire hose. And the kids are backing up away from the counter oh my God, what? Because they're too young to remember when there was just stupid movies that were great.
Yeah. Well, and UHF is the other one that once I finish, and I haven't even started, but once I finish that personal project of making a GIF of every line of Albuquerque, I'm going to do it with as much of UHF as I can because just oh, you need me? Throw the dog in the punch bowl. Great. What time is it? Fist comes through the wall. 7 o'clock. I gotta go. Just every
today we're gonna make turtles stick to the ceiling.
You may not know this, but the turtle is nature's suction cup. Watch this. You see that? Okay, if you're just joining us today, we're teaching poodles how to fly. Here we go. Woo. Sometimes it takes them a few tries to get it right.
Sometimes when you get old, you wear stretchy pants. It's for fun.
It's for fun. So yeah, UHF. That's just a fun personal note. But okay, I have some bad news. Unfortunately, is the last thing that I've written down, and I think you'll probably agree with me that this is not something we'd like to see. So, Alamo Drafthouse has closed 6 theaters in Texas and Minnesota after the franchisee declares bankruptcy.
Yeah, but I knew that this was coming.
Yeah, and I hope and pray that this is not just the first one to fall, and that it's something Alamo Drafthouse did wrong. But I know, it's been. I mean, theaters, and you said this to me. Theaters run their business essentially off of what they're given,
right? What they can get,
right? Yeah,
that's definitely with our case. Like, we only have 6 screens.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I have to be like super picky, about like how we got Ezra was only because the film that I wanted this week, Disney wouldn't give it to us, and they're stupid for doing that.
Really?
Yeah. Like I wanted Young Woman in the Sea, which was a film about Daisy Ridley. About the first woman that swam the English Channel. Same demographic as Boys in the Boat. That movie did gangbuster business. It was sold out.
Really?
And this seemed along the same lines. Like people coming here would have loved this. And Disney was like, well, no, it was limited release. It didn't do anything in limited release. And we're not interested in expanding this film that could possibly get shown, but we're just going to shut it down and not give it to like a little theater in Texas.
That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
It costs them almost nothing.
Right.
Like what? The cost of a hard drive and shipping?
Not even that. Satellite transmission.
The cost of pushing a button?
Exactly.
That's stupid. I've said it for years. Disney's
and that's
ridiculous.
That's how we got Ezra.
Yeah. Well, hopefully some people see Ezra.
Beside me and my wife, which is right now is the only people that are coming to see it.
Yeah. Well, it's not always fair to the movies that are getting made. I mean, I've had stuff that I thought was awful that I made get more attention than stuff that I thought, oh, this was actually putting out, and people completely ignored it. Short films I've made and things. And so you can't ever really be ahead of like what's gonna work. You can try to stick to a formula, but even that might leave you high and dry.
A lot of theaters for the first quarter of this year, they're declaring was the worst in many, many a year. We were actually ahead of last year, but not by much.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was people like the food here and they like the experience that we provide.
Yeah.
And it really, yes, the movie matters, but they come here generally for the experience.
Yeah. My wife had the shrimp tacos last night, and she was like,
I was wondering what she was munching on.
Very tasty.
Because I was almost like, I really wanted to ask her, Hannah, what are you eating? But I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. What is that intoxicating bouquet?
Yeah, the Baja tacos. Yeah. Those are good.
Shrimp and onions. Woo! Yeah. That was the weirdest kiss of my life after that when we got home. But I kissed her, and I was like, shrimp.
Alamo Drafthouse has been in trouble for a while.
Yeah, I have heard that.
You knew that they were in trouble when they closed the one on 6th Street.
Yeah.
And then there are ones that are coming around now that, just like you said, they're starting to drop the hammer.
It was 5 locations in Dallas that got shut. So
Dallas has a bunch of theaters to begin with. It's almost like you can throw a rock from any intersection and you'll hit a theater.
Yeah. And that's the world I want to live in. I want theaters everywhere, but yeah, I do. I feel bad about it though, because
they were probably one that provided the best customer experience for that kind of business model. Or I felt that,
while also sometimes being the most jerkish people I've ever met.
Really?
Oh yeah,
I never had that.
I went to an Alamo Drafthouse back in 2017, and just some of the meanest sons of guns I've ever met.
I've never had a bad experience at anyone that I've gone to.
Really? Well,
yeah.
Again, might just be my face.
That's really. What did you do?
I walked in and bought a ticket. I don't know, man. I was in a good mood. I was on my way to it was the day before my wedding. I was feeling good. Magnificent Seven was playing. I was going to see that. Woo! And then
that's the film you picked before you get married?
I didn't pick it. My brother picked it. I had a fun time, but I was also riding the high of like, tomorrow's the big day. So bang, bang, shoot 'em up. Happy.
But I guess I can't say much because I went to one to see like the last Phantasm film that was ever made. Yeah. Because Angus Scrimm had died, and that was the last thing. And yeah, it's a bad movie, but
sometimes a dumb, fun action flick is all you need.
Well,
I think I remember a Gatling gun in the
for Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, that was fun. Like that.
Should go back and watch the Wild Bunch. Sam Peckinpah. Yeah.
Not seen that.
Late 1960s Western, and it's super violent.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
just like the Apple Dumpling Gang.
No.
Oh, okay.
Or the Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again.
Both fantastic movies, Don Knotts.
Or what's the other one that Don Knotts and Jim Dale did? Hot Lead and Cold Feet.
Yes, Hot Lead and Cold Feet. Man, no one's ever mentioned that movie to me before. I have. I think I'm one of like 9 people in the world that remember
movie.
it. I just can't, you can't not love Don Knotts. I mean, the incredible Mr. Limpet.
Private Eyes.
Private Eyes. Yeah.
Private Eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. He's. I miss him so much, and it's very sad that Chicken Little was the last thing he did. But yeah, Alamo Drafthouse closing out, and that's. The only reason I'm really concerned and the reason I'm saddened by this is because you would know this about the history of the theater business, but there was a time when the movie studios owned the theaters.
Yeah.
Disney owned their theaters,
yep.
Warner Brothers had theirs, and it was a monopolistic practice.
That's one of the theaters that I worked for in New York City was the United Artists Theater.
Right, yeah.
So
they all had our movies are only here, and this is the only place you can get them. And there, at some point, there was I don't know what the right term is, but there was a dissemination of the theater to the people, and it became where you're going to see Warner Brothers and Disney movies in the same theater, and all of that. And what I see happening now, and what concerns me is that's what they've been trying to do with their individual streaming services is say, you can only find our content here. Sometimes they'll, license it out to Netflix or whatever.
Disney seems to be the more prevalent out of any of those that's doing that, and they're not ashamed about it at all.
Not at all. And I think Warner Brothers also with Max was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, but they stopped. At least they stopped it.
Yeah, to a degree, but I'm wondering if they're.
But
going
at least
to
it's
ramp
not
it
day.
back up
At least
again.
it's not day and date.
Yes, yeah, but I think that the concern I have is that they might change their minds on that again once if enough theaters shut down, the push will become, well, if you want to see our content, there's no reason to go anywhere anyway. Look, you can get it right here at home, and I find myself concerned because people are talking about the death of the movie theater in general. All over the place.
Movie theaters are not going away though. Like that was pretty prevalent. Like that came up at CinemaCon.
Yeah,
and a lot of the top, like AMC, Cinemark, those top guys said this industry is not going away. The main thing that they complain about is that the studios are not putting out enough product, and the strike hurt that.
Yep.
So that's why we're in this kind of lag right now. But then September of this year, normally it's a dump month for movies. And there's actually some really good titles coming out this September and into the last quarter of this year. Like September has Beetlejuice 2.
Right, yep.
That Transformers 1 film, even though you're not crazy about it, that's going to be a good kid film.
I just have one nitpick with it. They're not superpowers. They are Transformers. It's their name. That's dumb that they're treating it like a superpower. That's all I'm saying.
But Wild Robot's coming out in September.
I am excited for Wild Robot.
So am I.
Hopefully no one talks too much.
And yeah. And then there's a film, the trailer just got released called Wolves, which is...
Yeah.
George Clooney and Brad Pitt as rival, cleanup hitmen.
Yeah.
And the trailer looks great.
I'm really excited for that.
And I think there's one or two other titles. Speak No Evil comes out, another horror film. Another horror film too, Halle Berry's Never Let Go, that Lionsgate's putting out.
Okay.
So September is pretty packed. with a lot of, and it's not just one kind of film too. It's a lot of alternative content, which is going to be great for like doing film bookings.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're not going to have like 6 screens of all the same movie. There's going to be something for everybody, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah. That's good. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, because
I saw that they all shut down, all those Alamo Drafthouses, and I was like,
if the owner has anything to say too about this place, he refuses to let this place close.
Yeah,
because I had a legitimate worry about that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that because this is, I mean, Grand Avenue is like a second home to me. It is.
It pretty much is my home from time to time.
I mean, you know, I haven't been able to come out and watch movies as much as I've wanted to over the last several years. I've missed a lot that I really wanted to go to, but it's just, that's the nature of, you know, running your own business.
Right.
And all that
I get
stuff.
that.
And so that's part of why I really wanted to do this, is because this is my business. So, you know, I get to
it's mine.
See a movie, make some content to put that out into the world, and hopefully at least my mom is listening.
And my wife.
And your wife.
Yes.
So, yeah. But I guess we should wrap it up there.
So the thing that the movie...
your funny thing.
Yeah, the thing that I got from Hollywood Reporter, like right before I walked in here. So Horizons is coming out. We just got confirmed for it, part 1 and part 2.
Okay.
So part 1 is 3 hours long.
Oh!
And the second part is 2 hours and 46 minutes long. So it's already projecting to be a disaster. Like they're only projecting 10 million out of the opening weekend.
Oh no.
Right. So Kevin Costner is not going to be made number 3, which he's trying to get done right now.
Oh no.
And it's up against Quiet Place Day 1, which is forecasting a 40 to 60 million dollar opening. So
just do a mini series or something.
Yeah, but that film I really want to see here, and I really want to see it on a big screen.
Yeah.
Like it has that scope of story and cinematography and everything that I do want to see it in the theater. I don't want to watch it on television.
I think that's fair. I mean, like I definitely would want to see it on a big screen too.
Right.
I just don't know if you can sell it at all. I mean, obviously they don't think so.
Westerns are a hard sell to begin with.
Yeah. And now, like, Westerns are just, it'll come back around. There will be a time where the Western is the thing again.
I hope so.
Time is cyclical. You know, it's just how it is. But right now, no. I mean, I'm going to go for Rosamund Pike.
Yeah.
That was enough for me. But
Girl.
But I haven't seen it. But
Shock.
It's on the list. But
okay.
No, that's both sad and bad and funny.
Yeah. I won't elaborate on that.
Oh goodness. Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, that was. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
You wanted to end it, and I kept it going. So
I'm
sorry.
glad that you brought that up, because that's going to make our reviews even funnier and be like, remember that time we said it wasn't going to go good? Ruh-roh.
You know, I'm surprised with that they're not pulling the plug on number 2. Because
if it's already made, you might as well.
Yeah, because August is looking pretty bad. Like it's a dumpster fire of a month for movies.
Well, then at least it'll be the most interesting thing to release in the dumpster fire.
Well, I think the most interesting thing for August is the Alien Romulus movie.
Oh yeah, that's August.
Ridley Scott is executive producer, and he's even telling everybody that it's brilliant.
Really?
Yeah. So that makes me really excited for it.
I'm excited for that. I love the Alien.
And
movies.
it takes place between 1 and 2.
Ooh.
So yeah, the trailer for it, and I love the last poster we got.
The red one with the face hugger?
Yes.
Oh, it's so cool.
I want to put that up in my office.
Dude, it's so good. I love that poster.
But then, you know, it's hard to get excited for that month when your other big films are like Harold and the Purple Crayon, Borderlands.
Okay, well,
the Reagan movie.
Hold on, you're not excited for Borderlands?
Not really. I know I put the trailer on Watchers, but
my friend, my dear sweet summer child, it's gonna be an amazing train wreck.
That I believe.
And it's based on a video game too.
I'm just curious what the rating on it's going to be. They haven't announced that yet.
Oh yeah, they haven't.
The runtime is it's an hour and 41 minutes. So
they've got to do PG-13.
If they don't, that's really going to, like, you might as well put the nails in the coffin now.
Yeah, and I say that knowing that Borderlands is an R-rated sort of game. Like,
yeah,
you know,
that's and you know, the other thing is the Colleen Hoover movie coming out that month. It Ends With Us. So yeah, that's your August. The Crow remake, which I'm absolutely. Don't get me started on that.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to seeing a retirement community take on an entire planet of wackos. Because they just, everyone in there is like over 50. Like, what are you doing? Not that they're not capable actresses or good actors or whatever. It's not that. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, Jamie Lee Curtis is not doing action scenes. She looks like maybe the more nerdy character, so maybe you can get away with that. But Cate Blanchett is 20-something gunslinger. I don't know about that.
Yeah, with orange hair.
Yeah,
which is even more bizarre.
Well, that's a very Borderlands thing. It's like cell shaded.
Well, and that's what everybody's told me. But even my staff's kind of like, they saw the trailer and were like, no. And I'm like, that's not good, because that's the demographic that movie's appealing to.
That is exactly why I'm excited to see it. Because, look, if I can... the main joke in the trailer is that they drive through something called Piss Wash Gully.
Yeah.
And that is so juvenile and dumb. And I think August, when it gets really, really hot, and I have a lot of work normally in August,
You're just
I'm
outside
outside
pee on your car?
Baking. No, I open the window like a gentleman. But there's a certain time of August where my brain becomes actually baked from being out in the sun as much as I am through July and August, because it's just always like one of the more busy times for my life.
Right.
And I just know I will be sufficiently bisqued to the point where I can enjoy Piss Wash Gully as a joke. And you know what? If it comes along at that point, I'm just going to have a fun time with it.
Oh, do you know who the director of it is?
It's Eli Roth.
Yeah.
Who did Death Wish 2018, ironically enough. And also other things that are not good.
Yeah. Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Grindhouse original
and then
trailer. And
M. Night Shyamalan's new movie's coming out in August, too.
I thought you said that was September.
They pushed it.
Okay. Yep.
To the same weekend as Borderlands.
Well... Oh, crap. We're going to have to do double features, aren't we? All right. Well, we'll have plenty of content then. But for now, let's call it a day and just say thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. We try to keep these down to less than 2 hours, but boy, it just gets there.
I know. I'm sorry.
We're 8 minutes short. I think we're all right.
Okay.
So you can find us on the socials, Grand Review Pod, and we will absolutely love to hear what you think about The Watchers. And if you have any thoughts about any of the news, or if you also are working on a sheep movie, we'd love to hear from you. We'll see you next week right here on the Grand Review. Stay frosty.
Oh my God!
I don't really have a good catchphrase.
I just take care of y'all. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye.